Welcome back to One in the Trenches podcast. I'm Johnny Jones. He's Patches Kaplan. We're here today to recap week 14 of the college football season and then preview conference championship week. Patches, how we feeling?
I'm feeling good, Johnny. I can't believe that we're here right now. I'm sitting here, the wind's howling outside my window. I think it's -1 where I am. Real
Crazy.
feel. We just got hit with 9 inches up here. It feels like just the other day you and I were talking about week 0 in our conference.
It's crazy. Every week we do this, I'm like, I can't believe how fast we I think back like moments of the season, and I just remember that first week, LSU's win over Clemson, and you and me were like, LSU might be the best team in the country. Now, fast forward, Brian Kelly's looking for a job. Like, it's crazy, like just how fast this long season has gone by. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, this has probably been one of the most eventful seasons that I remember. And then we still have so much to go. A lot of answers will be provided this week with conference championship week. I cannot wait. I am sitting on my butt from 12 o'clock noon until I leave for work at 10:30. I am going to watch every single down, every single play, maybe eat some jalapeno poppers. I don't know yet, but it's going to be a fun week. Johnny, what do you feel about rivalry week? Did it live up to the expectation?
Yeah. Well, weekend. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Friday started off with such a bang, and we can hop in there, but I'm saying, like, I think Friday to Saturday, there was a lot of fun games. A lot of favorites won, but besides, like, those games are still good. Like, Alabama-Auburn was still a crazy game. Vandy, Tennessee, Oregon, Washington. Some favorites won, but they were still great games. But let's start on Friday night. We had Texas 27, Texas A&M 17. What did you think about that game?
Thought a lot of things. I thought that little bit of all bark, no bite out of A&M in that all year we're sitting here and saying they've blown teams out. They've won close games. Right, they've built themselves up to be this juggernaut in the SEC to where they can win on the ground, they can win in the air, they can get after you with their big dogs on the edge. And I think it's Marcellus Howard. You know who I'm talking about? He's the DN. He's supposed to be in the first round.
Yeah. Where was he?
He had no production. I was extremely disappointed by the way Texas Tech played. I'm going to give a lot of credit to Texas, right? I always give credit to the team that won. But, I'm sitting here and saying to myself, where was this Texas team from August 30th to last Friday? That team has, if you came and played 80% of the way that they played last Friday, they would have one loss maybe to Georgia, and it would have been a much tighter game, and then they would be in the playoffs. It wouldn't even be much of a conversation. But, they're sitting here. They lost in Gainesville. They lost to Ohio State. Where if they played the way they did yesterday, I think they could have beaten Ohio State. They outgained them by over 200 yards offensively in that game. I'm going to give Texas a lot of credit. They played their heart and soul out. They big brother Texas A&M. Texas A&M had everything to lose, Johnny. Yeah. Everything to lose. And they still just let it wipe. SEC championship. They had the first or second overall in the college football playoff, undefeated regular season, and they literally just let it down their leg. Could not produce offensively, could not stop Texas defensively. Were terrible on third down, were really bad defensively on third down. Texas had everything that they wanted. Those QB draws are so predictable on 3rd and 6, but yet they could not stop them. What I'm taking from this game, Johnny, is that Texas A&M is not the best team in Texas. They're not the best team in the SEC. And all jokes aside, that whole bottom half SEC schedule is so true in that I'd be very, very surprised if they won a playoff game.
Yeah, like a couple things to start. Like I saw that graphic going around, like they'd only play the bottom half of the SEC. And I was like, I want to respect A&M a little more just because, like some of those teams like LSU, Mizzou, Mississippi State, really good football teams that, they just play a gauntlet of a schedule. So let's respect A&M. But, man, you're right. It was proven true, and it's a cliche. And I know my dad's an O-line coach, so it sounds like I should say this, but that game was won and lost on the line of scrimmage on both on Texas's offense and defense, like both sides of the ball. Like start on like defensively for Texas. They got home with 4 all night long. Like they were able to drop 7 and get to Marcel Reed rushing 4. And A&M didn't have an answer. They couldn't run the ball, and Marcel Reed just like panicked back to the drop in 7. And then Texas was letting up crossers all night, like that, like check down stuff. But man, that secondary really impressed me with how they filled. Like they came and filled. Michael Taffy, All-American safety for Texas. They came in and they just didn't let Marcel Reed get those big chunk plays that we're kind of used to seeing. And then Texas's offense, like you said it, that Marcellus guy, like they have an unbelievable pass rush. It was non-existent, and QB draws kind of helped with that. But I don't know. I was really impressed on both sides of the ball on the line of scrimmage by Texas. I don't think they've done enough to get in the playoff just because that Florida loss is pretty glaring. I think all year they've really struggled offensively, but we've been saying it week after week. This Texas defense is so legit, and it is a bummer. I think they're going to miss out in the playoff because the defense is good enough to hang with anyone in the country. And we saw it week one in Columbus.
It'd be different, Johnny, if we were sitting here and saying that Texas beat some really, really good teams in the SEC. They have not. Right? They have not. It's not like we're sitting here and saying, oh, they beat Bama but lost to Georgia. Oh, they beat Ole Miss but lost to OU. Right? Yes, they beat OU, but you take a few of their wins out of there, right? They beat A&M and OU.
Yeah.
Vandy. Those are 3 good wins. I'm not taking nothing from them, but it's funny, and we're going to dive into the playoffs a lot. In the funniest thing is that the consistency of this playoff argument is there's no weight to any of these variables, right? People will say, oh, it's who they lost to. And then you go to the next set of people, it's, oh, who they beat. And then you go to the next people, it's common opponents.
It varies. It just varies.
And there is no weight to it. And, we'll talk about it more in the playoffs. But, I think they are good enough to be in the playoffs if they would have been good enough to be in the playoffs if they blew out Mississippi State and they blew out Arkansas and they blew out Kentucky. If was there, they had my vote.
It just sucks. It does suck because you're totally right. Too many close games. The loss to Florida is glaring because you would forgive the Ohio State and the Georgia loss, but the offense is just so up and down. And the offensive line looked great. They minimized any Texas A&M pass rush.
That's right, because that's when they're low.
Totally. Totally. And the defense has teeth, might have the biggest fangs in the nation. Like they just get home with 4. The secondary does its job. No chunk plays. It's just disappointing because Arch and crew hasn't been at the level Sark has needed them to be at. And I don't know, we were talking about it before we started recording, but Sark is this offensive guy, but it seems like the defense is kind of dominating the past 2 years. So like it's a bummer to see Texas not having the offense to get in year after year.
Yeah, no, you gotta play 12 games. It's that simple. You gotta play 12 games, and Texas did not do that. It's unfortunate because this is a weird year where, and like I said, we're going to talk about the playoffs in just a few minutes. But if Duke wins, we might have 2 non-Power 4 teams in the playoff. No one wants to see that. No one wants to see that.
No,
and we're sitting here being like, we really want North Texas and we want JMU instead of Texas, right? We really want those 2 teams instead of Vanderbilt. Right? No one wants that, but you have to have some type of integrity and some type of structure where you can sit proudly and admit these are the 4 reasons, these are the three reasons why. You have to, right? But I'm sitting here and saying I think it should be very subjective, and someone should take a step back and be like, who are the best 12 teams regardless, right? We have our 4 best and our Power 4. Besides that, every at-large should be almost exclusively an eye test at this point. With that being said, I still don't think it's Texas. But nonetheless, it was a great game. I'm proud. I'm happy for Texas to end on such a high note. Does A&M have any gas left in the tank after that? Or is that one of those losses that's like tough to button your straps up and go play football again?
It's one of those losses where you're kind of scratching your head and you're like, yes, we had that super emotional win against Notre Dame, but that almost kind of feels like 6 months ago at this point, like 10 years ago.
Keep that same energy. Keep that same energy.
I know I won't. I won't. But I'm just saying the way this A&M team's playing right now, it's like, I don't know. That's just it feels like we're letting the air of the balloon right now. But let's move on.
Crazy how wild the SEC is that you can go 11-0, drop your last game to 11-1, and you miss the SEC championship, but then Bama gets in with 2 losses. Technically, obviously, one's in conference, and then their best friends, Georgia Bulldogs, are there too. I don't know, just craziness.
Yeah, the
Kind
more
of seems
things
like it kind of seems like Texas Tech, or excuse me, Texas A&M threw away the season over the weekend.
Totally. Let's stay on Friday night. We had Georgia 16, Georgia Tech 9, an absolute rock fight in Atlanta.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was exactly what I expected it to be. A very even matchup. I love to see the fact that Georgia dominated the line of scrimmage as we expected them to. They also dominated the time of possession, having 35 minutes of possession. I was a little bit disappointed by the offensive yards by Georgia. They did not move the ball like I thought they would. I thought realistically at points this was going to be a 20-point game, but I give a lot of credit to Georgia Tech for sticking around, making it a one-score game. I want to see a little bit more out of Georgia. I thought they were extremely, extremely dominant all year, besides a few games, but I think they're catching their stride, and I think that they're a team to be messed with. And I always take a rivalry week with a grain of salt because it's rivalry week, right? You throw out stuff you've been preparing all year for them. You sit here and you have plays specifically designed for Georgia Tech or for Georgia or for Michigan or for Ohio State that you've been holding on, right? These schemes, because you care nothing more than to beat these guys up. So I take it with a grain of salt. Getting out of there with a win is very, very impressive across the board. It doesn't matter who it is or what they're ranked. So I'm giving Georgia a lot of credit. Granted, I wish they performed a little bit better.
Yeah. No, one thing I wanted to say was if you told me going into this game that Georgia would throw for under 100 yards
100
and
yards.
Georgia Tech would fail to rush for 100 yards, I'd say you're crazy. I'd say you're absolutely crazy. But I don't know. This was just an old school rock fight. You're right. Georgia's offense didn't look great. And Georgia Tech, man, this team fights. Brent Key, Haynes King, so gritty. Haynes King rushing it 10 times, throwing it 27 times. Like, this is a guy that we knew was going to go out there and die on the field. I know it wasn't a super impressive performance from Gunnar Stockton and crew, but I don't know. This Georgia team finds a way to win every week. And it's not always the same way. And that's why I think I love this team going into the playoff so much. Like Gunnar Stockton, we don't have it going through the air this game. Guess what? We're gonna lean on Nate Frazier, and we're gonna trust our defense to pull through. Frazier going for 108. McCray also had about 50 yards in this game. I don't know. I really like this Georgia team. I know this was like a gross, close game. But we got to treat this like we treat the Iron Bowl, like we treat Ohio State, Michigan, where it doesn't matter how far apart these teams are in talent. It's always going to be a close game. Georgia Tech has progressed tremendously the last 2 years. It's been a one-score game against Georgia the past 2 years, which is, I don't know when the last time that's happened. So super impressed by the progression of Georgia Tech. But I don't know. Georgia, I really like going to the playoff. I'll talk about it later, but I think this is a team that fully can win it all.
Oh, yeah. I think without a doubt they are equipped. I want to see, like you said, a little bit more out of their pass attack. But, I think that they did what they had to win the rivalry week. They're still a dominant team. We've seen it, right? They put up, 52 points against Tennessee, 49 points against Ole Miss.
They win different ways.
They can score. And,
Yeah.
don't isolate this one. I think this one will actually be good for our betting odds going into Alabama because people are going to be selling on Georgia, buying on Bama for a very tough Auburn
I love
win.
that.
Me too. And staying on Friday, Johnny, we had Ole Miss. We had the Egg Bowl, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. Mississippi State is fizzled out. They're a dead season. They're a dead boat in the water. That's a sinking ship. They had one hurrah left. Ole Miss was obviously playing to get into the conference championship. Didn't get there because of how other things played out with Bama winning and Georgia winning. But Johnny, I think we got to address the elephant in the room with Ole Miss.
Lane Kiffin.
You beat your in-state rival. You have an historic season. You go nationally, on air nationally, you say you don't know what you're going to do. And then you leave for LSU.
I gotta say, I was wrong at first because I called you right after. I called you right after, and I was like, I said last week in the podcast, I said LSU's a better job. I understand that, and then when we talked right after the decision was made, I was like, they should let him coach because at Ole Miss, you don't know when this chance is going to happen to be in the playoff with this team, with Chambliss, with that defense. You just don't know when that's going to come around, and they should let him coach. And then after that, so much more information has come out that this decision has been made for weeks, and he wasn't contacting everyone. He wasn't telling Ole Miss where he's at, and he was telling the media stuff that he wasn't telling the guys in the locker room. It just feels so slimy. But
yeah, I thought Lane Kiffin rounded that corner, but you were so right. That boy didn't change.
No, but the thing is, I don't know. You can't be too sympathetic for Ole Miss because you get in bed with Lane Kiffin. This is what you got to expect. Like, he's done this before, and he's shown a pattern of doing this. So it's like,
you didn't think
you expect? Come on, you can't think things.
What's that old tale about picking up a venomous snake, where the snake was super hurt, so she picked him up and she nursed him back to health, and then when he was finally healthy, the snake bit her. And she asked him why she was dying, why she bit him when she saved him. And and the snake said to her, "You knew I was a venomous snake when you picked me up." It's a good story when you take a step back, but I don't know. I fell for the Lane Kiffin trap. I thought he was going to scream into the mic like Leonardo DiCaprio in that Wolf movie where he screams the "I'm not freaking leaving" type thing.
Yeah, and I thought it was good. Do you know how good of a moment that would have been for college football? That would have been such a perfect moment.
I think they probably would have had the #1 recruiting class this year if he stayed. He's going to have a lot of ground to cover. I think he'll do a really good job at LSU. But how do we know that the shiny new toy isn't catching his eye next year or the year after? Or
I think I know Charlie Weiss Jr., which first of all that blew my mind that Charlie Weiss Jr. is the son of Charlie Weiss, former Patriots and Notre Dame coach. I didn't know his son was the offensive coordinator for Lane Kiffin.
Really? You didn't put two together?
No, I did not. Not at all. I'm an idiot. I think they're letting him and the DC coach. Like, I think they're letting them both finish, just not Lane.
Well, it makes sense. You take a step back and be like, "Oh, Lane was literally trying to poach every single one of his players." How invested is he really in the playoffs? How invested is the Ole Miss now really in the playoffs?
That's what I was going to ask you. Because this is a very talented team. They took Georgia to the brink. They probably should have won that Georgia game. Sure. What do you think about their playoff odds? Because that's the only thing about Lane.
They had to have plummeted.
What? I know, but
they've had to have plummeted.
If you're a Lane, though, I just don't know if I leave because I know the lights are brighter at LSU, and you're the biggest college in your state, and the recruiting's easier. But how many chances do you get at the playoff? Like, would you throw this out? Like, this is a good team. I don't know.
Well, what did the AD say about LSU? He said LSU is a team or a program that needs to be in the playoff and needs to be in the SEC contention every single year. So that's what they're banking on, is that they're going to make the playoffs as one of the 4 teams from the SEC to make the playoffs every single year. I don't think it's unattainable. I don't. But I'm with you. I don't see the harm and foul and why he didn't say, "Listen, I'm committing to LSU at the end of the year." I don't know. I go back and forth so heavily on it. It's like one of those things treat him almost as if he was transferring, because that's essentially what it is. And, I wish I could have seen it, because I bet, we've seen the committee punish teams for star players. How do we know they're not going to punish Ole Miss for a star coach leaving?
Totally. And 2 things can be true at once. Lane Kiffin's scummy for this, but at the same time, it's a problem with the NCAA because the schedule has to change. Because I stood on the table and I just yelled at the committee last year on this podcast when Bo Pribula at Penn State, who played a lot, even though he was the backup, had to transfer during the playoff. This shouldn't be a thing. LSU should hire him after the season. It's the same thing with all these coaching hires. This shouldn't happen. Like, Tulane, USF, and all those teams that could have been playoff eligible.
They're teams that are literally playing for the playoffs, Johnny. They're playing Friday night, I believe it is.
It's so stupid.
Neither of them have a head coach.
It's so dumb, and it needs to change. I know it's about the academic schedule, but come on. It's bigger than that at this point. These guys are making money. It's way different. It has to change. It has to get up with the times, because it's a bummer for Ole Miss, because we talked early in the week, and I was like, how many times has Ole Miss been good in our lifetime? We said Chad Kelly. We said Bo Wallace. I couldn't think of another season. That's 2. You don't know when Ole Miss is going to be good again. And this is their chance to really make a difference in the playoff. And it feels like it's over. It really does feel like it's over from my perspective.
The offer from LSU was that much better than Ole Miss? in terms of what they were, because I believe he signed a 6-year, $91 million contract.
I think it's less about the money. I honestly do. Because I think
he said it has nothing to do with the money, but if that was the case, why wouldn't he put more value on sticking at Ole Miss when he has the number 6th ranked team in the college football rankings? Right? If it means nothing to money, you literally are set up for a great 2025. You went toe-to-toe with the number 3 team in the nation, lost by 1 point or 2 points to Georgia, and you're saying it's not about the money. Brother, you had the silver plate in front of you.
He must think at LSU it can be 2 instead of 6. I don't know. Or 1. I don't know. I'm not Lane Kiffin. I can't put myself in his head, but I gotta imagine that's what he thinks.
I'll argue with it because I'm upset with how it played out. Also, I lost $25 to one of our listeners because of it. So
I
sick to my
told you
stomach.
though last week. I told you.
I was really trying to make a quick 25, and I lost it. I don't know what I'm going to do for meals this week, but I digress. I'm sitting here and I'm critiquing him like I wouldn't have made the exact same move. I think I would have. I'm picking LSU over Ole Miss. I am. There's a few teams in college football that make college football better when they're better. Florida, LSU, Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, all teams that when they're good, college football is good. I want to talk about the college coach search in just a few minutes. Let's continue with our breakdown of the week. So that was a great Friday. I almost wish they spread out that weekend a little bit because that was back-to-back games that were awesome. I had to go Black Friday shopping. I had a great time with my wife and my daughter, but boy, would I have rather been watching football on the couch and drinking soda. I hope she doesn't hear this. I know she doesn't listen, so we'll continue there. We had the biggest game. I'm sorry, Johnny, go ahead.
No. I was going to end with Ohio State, Michigan. Let's dig in. Let's go.
Yeah, I was thinking let's go Ohio State, Michigan, then we'll go Bama, Auburn, and then we'll jump into next week. Ohio State, Michigan, one of the biggest rivalries of all times. I hope you watched that clip from 1973 where Ohio State rips down the entrance flags and they come after them. Obviously we're entering this game with extreme bad blood. There was a 65-person fight. People were pepper sprayed. People were beat up. Schools were fined. Ryan Day was almost fired. Sharon Moore was almost extended. 2024 was a crazy Ohio State Michigan game. I watched that. This may come off insensitive. I watched that fight play out almost like it was a natural disaster.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I sat there, sick to my stomach. Someone stop these guys. Get them off the freaking field. Ohio State went out there and dominated. Not the first 8 minutes. They went out there and showed 2 different classes of football teams. Am I wrong to believe that there is Ohio State and then Michigan?
Oh, yeah, no. And in that first 8 minutes, I was like, oh, no, is it the same game that we've seen 3 years?
First play, 39 yards.
Yeah, we really did see Ohio State kind of get the monkey off their back, and it really showed that 2 classes of football. It wasn't close. It really – I know it's 27-9. It could have been 51-3 for all I care because, I don't know. This Michigan offense we've debated this whole year, and I think this team has a Sherrone Moore problem. I don't think he gives Bryce Underwood enough. I don't think he's given him the keys all season, but you're not going to beat Ohio State kicking field goals. I know you have the best kicker in the country, and you're not going to beat them if Bryce Underwood can't pass for over 100 yards. Passing for 63 isn't going to do it. And we just saw how dynamic this Ohio State offense was. Julian saying
Bryce Underwood almost more than what you're paying Sherrone Moore. You have a problem in a few different ways, right? So everyone's saying it's our Sherrone Moore problem, but we don't know if Bryce Underwood is the passer that everyone thinks he could be. People said how good of a player he was. They don't have the outside talent. They don't have.
They just don't.
Talent.
And they never have. Even I know they had Roman Wilson that one year, but he's not the outside talent. And you see it on Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith had 3 receptions, but his presence was felt. Carnell Tate is elite. Max Clare, All-American tight end from Purdue. Bo Jackson. Just listen to the name. This crazy offense. Yeah, crazy. This offense is so talented. And Julian Sayin looked like he was going to be, everyone in Michigan was talking with the cold. He can't play in the cold. He's a California kid. He throws that pick, and it's like, uh-oh. And then you see this young freshman just calm down, settle in, and there was no turning back. And then even Ohio State's defense they're just mean. Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles. I forget what edge rusher said it, but he said after the game, like, we knew we were going to be okay if we just made Bryce Underwood play quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, that's mean. That is so mean.
That hurts your chest.
Oh, yeah. You feel it right here. And but was he wrong?
No.
He wasn't wrong. I don't know.
No, they looked outclassed. They looked out athletic. The way that Michigan dominated the last 4 years, take last year's aside, 2019 through 2023, not including 2020, Michigan looked like they had the better athletes, which brings me famously back to the 2018 interview where the reporter asked Jim Harbaugh what the difference is between Ohio State and Michigan. And it's one of my favorite questions ever asked to a head coach, because he says, what is the difference between Ohio State and Michigan? Is it a coaching thing? Is it a prep thing? Is it a weight and conditioning thing? Strength and conditioning thing? And he's like, I'll answer your question. I'm not going to answer your insults. And he goes, it's not an insult thing. They wipe the floor with you every single year. There is something different between Ohio State and Michigan. And then over the last 4 years, there's been something substantially different between Michigan and Ohio State. And we saw it this year that there is a certain level to Ohio State. I might get some haters for this. I was still kind of underwhelmed by Ohio State in ways, right? They had 2 or 3 really big plays. They still can't run the ball that well. I thought they kind of got gashed in the first quarter, so teams can run on them. I don't think their D-line is as prolific as people make it out to be. And for that reason, I think Indiana might have a good spot against them.
Yeah, we'll get into that game in a second, but I don't know. Yeah. I just think they're way too talented at the tight end position and outside. And Julian Sain looks like the guy. And, like, the defense, like, you're right. The defensive line wasn't great, but the linebacking core is the best in the nation. Caleb Downs is the best secondary player in the nation. Like, I don't know. I just think they're too talented defensively. Like, I don't know. They fill gaps. They fill gaps all day in the run game. If you get past the D-line, you're not going to get much farther. And those guys cover.
They match up most wide receivers really, really well. I don't think there's many wide receiver cores that can compete with their secondary, maybe besides a team in Indiana. And I'm not talking about Indiana.
What about Bama? No, Bama's got the second best receiving core in the nation. Come on.
Third, probably.
No, come on, dude.
Dude, Bama's wide receiver core is all bark, no bite, and everyone.
Jeremy Bernard's awesome.
Ryan Williams has been nothing but disappointing.
Yeah, but he's the third best receiver on that team, and he's good. At third, if he's your third option, you're in a good spot.
I think he's a bit overrated.
But before we get to Bama, Auburn, we got to talk about Oregon 26, Washington 14. This Oregon team is coming into form. They just need to get healthy. And I just want to preface this. They're doing this.
They don't even have an offensive coordinator, Johnny. So what is there to talk about?
Nope, he's coaching the rest of the way. You know that.
I don't think so.
That. Yes, he is. I saw it. Yep.
That's a first team. That's a one and done if I've ever seen one.
Nope, stop. Yes, Will Stein's coaching in the college football playoff. Stop with that, Patches.
Where'd you read that? Reddit?
I just looked it up. I just Googled it. First thing that popped up.
Great.com.
They're doing this with their top 2 receivers. And they're going to get healthy. De'Corian Moore, Gary Bryant Jr., they're going to come back for the playoff. It's awesome. They didn't make the Big Ten championship. They're just going to rest up for the next 2 weeks. They're getting ready for the playoff. This offense is awesome. And the defense is so good. The defense is – I don't know why you don't trust the defense. And also –
I think they're a really, really good team. I just don't think they're as physical as they were last year, and I don't think they're as well equipped offensively as they were last year.
It's the best offensive line in the Big Ten.
Oof, that's bold.
Isaiah World, come on.
That's bold.
Come on. No, it's great. I don't know. It was a big win. Everyone says Dan Lannon can't beat Washington. He went out there and did it against a pretty
It's a big intrinsic win. That's intrinsic right there, right? Like that means a lot to him. I don't know if it means a lot to the college football scene.
Anytime you can go out there and be 1-0 on Saturday is important.
Johnny, last one before we move on. Bama at Auburn. Nick Saban said one of the coolest quotes I think I've ever seen about a stadium, calling Jordan Hare a haunted stadium. Gives me the
so
chills
sick.
when I think about it, just because it's so cool. Auburn looked dead in the water, down 17-0. I had to work the night shift that night, so I went to bed. For the record, I had a large parlay currently active. The last two legs were Virginia to win and for Auburn to cover. So I was feeling pretty sick to my stomach going to bed. I woke up. It's a one possession game, right? Yeah. Auburn torched Bama on some big plays. Torched them, right? They had two touchdowns that were both over 50 yards. Their wide receivers outran their safeties. They were out of position. They were not lined up properly. What are you taking from that game? I don't want to even hear about Auburn. Their season's done. They got that bum coach Alec Golish there. He's parading around the basketball team. He's saying how much it means to be there. We'll see a new head coach again. Let's talk Bama here.
Two things, one negative, one positive. The first, I'll start always with the negative. Bama's defense kind of scared me in this game. I know they got to that early lead, but you got to stop Beck's plays. In a playoff game, that's going to kill you. I didn't love their defense, especially the defensive line. I thought they kind of got gashed at times. Ashton Daniels rushed for like 108. He had a great game. But the positive was they kind of found something in the run game. We've been very critical of Bama running the football, and them in Oklahoma going to the playoff, I was like, I really like these teams, except I think they're a little too one-dimensional. But, Jam Miller and Daniel Hill found something this game. They were able to run on Auburn. If they can keep that up, this is a very good football team.
Yeah, I'm just concerned the fact that they were so outgained offensively, Johnny. 411 to 280. That's tough. Time of possession was there. Without that 17-point lead, this team was not overly impressive. And this is one of those I'm buying into Georgia low, selling Bama high, but I don't know. I was not overly impressed by Bama. I think that they have their flaws. For a little while, I thought they could have been the number one team in the country after they beat Bama, after they beat Mizzou, after they went on the road. But I thought they had flaws, and I think that Zachariah Branch and Frazier will be able to gash them.
Yeah, no, I love Georgia. I said earlier, I love Georgia in this game. Bama's defense just was a little scary, but I don't know. If they can find a way to run the ball on Georgia, this receiving core and Ty Simpson is very, very talented, and they've shown it in a lot of games this season. Yeah. I don't think they'll be able to run the ball effectively enough, but I don't know. Alabama's always going to be talented enough to be in a shootout with anyone.
No, you're spot on. I thought Auburn was able to get after Ty Simpson, eliminate those big third down conversions. We'll preview the game quickly, but Bama dominated third down against Georgia. Georgia's not going to allow that to happen again. But like we talked about, a win is a win in rivalry week. They went out there, they won. Auburn had every chance to win that game. Low-key, fumbling the ball on the 21-yard line, driving against your in-state rival is so unacceptable. It's not even funny. That was such a bad play. They were driving the ball, and the guy just fumbles. Has the first down, he fumbles. All he had to do was sit down. So, Johnny, I want to start talking about some other things here. But before we do that, you and I am 37 for – no, excuse me, that is outdated. We are both 42 for 85, so we are batting just under 50%.
Wait, I caught back up to you?
You did.
You did. I was
down.
Let's go.
You went 7 for 11 last week. You had a good week.
Come on now.
You're currently up 15-10. I am slowly cutting that gap out. Just so you know, we are going to keep our underdog parlay going through the playoffs. Everyone has been rooting for me. They want me to get a free appetizer, a free soda, a free dessert, and a free entree on your dollar.
Who's everyone?
I don't know. Some people have talked to me on the street rooting for me. They want me to eat for free. They want me to get 2 entrees, maybe 1 for my wife. They do not want to see me bring my wallet, which I will not. So I am motivated. I am nervous, but I am excited for that. Down 5 on that one. Johnny, we should go next to playoff talks.
Let's do it.
All right. So Let's quick.
Do it. I've got everyone
problem in the playoffs. I think this goes without being said. There is a massive storm brewing. There is a witch's cauldron that's ready to put some poison in all of our fans. going down 1 through 25 really quick. Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Georgia 3, Texas Tech 4. Welcome to the party, Texas Tech. Oregon at 5, Ole Miss 6, 7, A&M drops 4 spots after the loss to Texas. OU at 8, Bama and Notre Dame flip. Bama 9, Notre Dame 10. BYU at 11. 12 at Miami. 13 Texas, 14 Vandy, 15 Utah, 16 USC, Virginia, Arizona, Michigan at 19. Tulane at 20. Houston, Georgia Tech, Iowa at 23, North Texas at 24, and 25 at JMU. Isn't that something? 24 and 25 both competing for those Power 4 spots. It kind of seems like a dangling fish there. Just waiting for someone to fight them. You know, we have a problem here, Johnny.
So tell me the storm. What's the storm brewing?
The storm is brewing is the mother trucking ACC, right? We have our conference champion. We have a 5-loss team in a conference championship. That is rancid. That is disgusting because you would probably think, right? What was the score for Virginia Duke last time? Was it a 21-point game? Do you remember?
I'm going to search it. But I wanted to say the best part of the whole thing is that Virginia's in with 1 ACC loss and their second loss is to NC State. I'll say that every week in the podcast because I think that is the greatest fact in college football.
I don't even want to talk about the ACC because it's such Bush League football right now.
So wait, it was Virginia. Who do you want me to look up? Virginia versus Duke?
Virginia Duke because they just played 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I think it was a 21-point game.
34-17.
Yeah, so it was a 17-point game. You know what the spread is right now, Johnny?
What?
-4 for Virginia. -4. Barely a field goal favorite, right? They just won by 17. Now they're barely a field goal favorite. So it's not outlandish to believe that Duke wins and they win the ACC. If that's the case, the ACC does not get their conference championship in there, their winner in there. They're not putting Duke in the playoff, right? No. That's evident by them not even being in the top 25. You cannot do it. So therefore, either you have an at-large ACC team, okay, which, you know, what are you going to say? No, the ACC can't get into the playoffs? No, you're not going to say that. So you're sitting here and you're going to say, yes, you're a Power 4 team. You need to have representation into the playoffs. Welcome, Miami. So now you're saying, welcome, Miami.
Are you mad? Are you mad at Miami getting in? Don't be mad at Miami getting in, Patch.
No, it's bullshit. It's bullshit because we're sitting here and we're going to say you need representation in the playoffs. So therefore, Miami's in, right? Then we're going to sit there and then try to backwards argue the fact that Miami should be in over Notre Dame, which they shouldn't. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But we're going to sit here and say we do need our 5 highest ranked conference winners. One of the Power 4s is not a 5 highest because Duke wins. So that means you're getting 2 non-Power 4s, group of 5 teams in there. That is disgusting. No one wants to see Notre Dame play JMU. No one wants to see Oregon play North Texas.
I do.
You know what I mean? No, you, Johnny, no, you don't. No, you don't. For everything that's good in football, no, you don't. SMU did not belong in the playoff against Penn State last year.
That was fun, though. That was fun.
It was fun. It was fun for you. It wasn't good for college football.
And when we're sitting, 3 pick sixes was awesome.
When we're sitting here and saying, does Texas belong to be in? When Texas would be a 24 to 28 point favorite against North Texas or JMU, and you're saying that JMU deserves to be in over Texas, it's just so hypocritical. So that is the first way that plays out. That is the first way that plays out. The second chaos.
Wait, can I respond to the first way?
You may not.
Okay, fair.
I'm kidding. Go ahead before I keep going.
No, that does suck. And I know, like, we don't want inferior teams in. But at the same time, it might be only like 6 to 7 teams that can really win it. So what does it matter? Oh, damn it. I hate you. Damn it. I'm old. Who cares? Who cares? If only 6 or 8 teams, I'm not gonna do it again, can win it, who cares if a couple teams slip in?
Don't you want the best teams, Johnny?
Yeah, I do. But is that 12 team? Like, do you think Texas can win the national championship? Tell me right now. You think Texas? Yeah. No, you don't. You don't.
Well, hold on.
Win the whole thing. The whole thing.
Potatoes, Johnny? Yes.
What?
When you're comparing 2 pots of mashed potatoes, yeah.
What
We're
does that even
comparing
mean?
one or the other.
I don't even know what 2 pots of mashed potatoes. What does that mean?
Jesus, dude, you're from Massachusetts. You don't know what 2 pots of mashed potatoes means?
What
What
does
I'm
that mean?
saying, Johnny, is that we're sitting here and saying that because one conference champion is not one of the best 25 teams, top 25 teams, not one of the best, that we're just going to slide over and allow 2 inferior conference champions in simply because of the way that we structured. It's unfair.
Okay,
Why,
yeah,
Johnny,
no,
Johnny, if that's the case, why wouldn't Illinois be like, yeah, we're now in the AAC and win the AAC every single year?
Why does
That's
Notre
what I'm
Dame do
saying.
that?
Because Notre Dame could go into the SEC and win it if they wanted to.
Oh, I don't know if they could.
First
In
of
the
all,
SEC?
screw you
In
for
the
planting that
SEC,
into my
dude.
head.
Okay,
We would dominate the SEC. We would recruit at a higher level.
two
than any
things.
other team.
One thing. First off, if 2 group of 5 teams get in, Miami's not going to get in.
Yes, they have to.
Well,
You're not leaving
because there's not enough.
leaving
There's
ACC
not
out of the playoff.
there's not enough space. If they let those 2 teams in, someone has to leave, and they're going to leave.
It's got to be Notre Dame. It's got to be Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I like that.
Don't even start. So we have chaos. It's bullshit because we're going to sit here for the second year in a row and allow teams over this stupid ass deserving category and the way that we structure these as if we
also
could emergency restructure them. And Johnny, we want to know who is the best college football team in the year of 2025.
I want to see. First off, do you know what a privilege this conversation is? Because this college football is a great. No. College football is the greatest sport in the entire world, but for 50 years we had like voters decide 2 teams, and then for another 15 to 20 years we had like a computer system decide the top 2 teams. It's awesome. We're in this conversation debating 12 and 13. I'm just saying it's okay if it's a little unfair now because it used to be tremendously unfair back in the day. You know what I mean? Like we're moving toward.
So why did I feel more satisfied with the BCS? Why did I not feel the need to argue the BCS is
because nostalgia. Everything in the past feels better. But
I'm just blown away, Johnny, at your opinion. The fact that you would sit here and say you'd rather have North Texas in JMU and Tulane in the playoffs rather than Miami, Notre Dame, and Texas and Vanderbilt.
Well, I don't think Miami's that good of a team. Texas, the resume's haunting. I think they're a really great team. I've said it.
Texas goes 12-0 in JMU schedule for the record.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Just based on geographics, or
they should?
So if you're going on strength of record, right? Texas trumps JMU, Tulane, and any 5.
This is
so you're getting punished for playing hard football.
This is in every sport. Like in the NFL, if you win your division, you're in. Like I don't have a problem winning your conference.
I'm all for that.
I don't have a problem with auto bid.
The AAC in the Mountain West is the same as the SEC being independent or the Big 12.
I don't know. You got to throw a little
really hard to win an independent division, but
yeah, with what you and who else is an independent? The armed forces?
No, they're not.
They're not.
I think it's like UMass. It's
nope. UMass is in the MAC, baby, the Mid American Conference.
Respect.
Okay.
So Johnny, let me keep playing out the playoffs and how disastrous this could be. What happens if Bama gets their socks knocked off on Saturday? Right, they go in, they lose 35-14, they lose 42-7.
If they lose by 3 scores, they shouldn't get in the playoff.
So you're going to punish the number 1 team in the SEC. You're going to punish a team for playing one more football game to win a conference championship. Greg Sankey, Johnny, would be at your door banging that thing down to personally throw you into the river.
Greg Sankey doesn't know where Massachusetts is. No, I'm just saying, if you lose by 3 touchdowns, no, you don't deserve to get in the playoffs.
So OU gets to stay at home, Johnny? They get to stay at home in not playing
3 touchdowns? When they
could have lost by 3 touchdowns?
3 touchdowns.
Why would you ever play again? If you stop playing football today, OU, Ole Miss, Bama, Georgia, they're all Texas A&M, they're all in the playoff.
Patch, do you think they're going to lose by 3 touchdowns?
I think it's possible. I truly do. I think this could be disastrous because if they lose by 3 touchdowns, the conversation of leaving them out of the playoffs has to be initiated for all things college football, if you leave Bama out of the playoffs for losing by 3 touchdowns or losing, you have an absolute disaster, a natural disaster that is going to happen. People are going to be rioting south of New York City, and it'll be an absolute disaster. It is going to stir the college football world. People, let alone, Johnny, not allowing Texas to be in the college football playoff because of their losses. No one is going to schedule out-of-conference games like they did with Ohio State. That OU-Michigan game, never going to happen. Right?
Yeah,
Notre Dame, A&M, never going to happen again because of what they're doing. Imagine the chaos that would happen for losing in your conference championship and getting bumped because of it. We're not sitting here and saying BYU loses and they're getting bumped, right? They're bumped as it is. They need to win and you're in.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised by your take on that. The chaos that can ensue from this playoffs in this Saturday cannot be undersold. The only one that I'm incredibly nervous for is Duke winning, Miami being the representation for the ACC and bumping Notre Dame. And I want to smooth something out for our listeners here, Johnny. If I could just have the floor. I know I've had the floor for the last 9 minutes, but I'd like the floor for another 2. This argument that Miami should be ranked higher for Notre Dame than Notre Dame simply because a head-to-head matchup is so ridiculous and outdated and antiquated. It doesn't make sense to me, right? Yes, they beat them in head-to-head. We are acting like head-to-head matchups are the one-all, be-all for deciding the playoff rankings. Oh, but if they're that close, that should be the ultimate decider. They're not that close. Notre Dame lost to the number 13 and the number 17 in the nation first 2 weeks of the year. Miami lost to 2 unranked teams, 2 top 40 teams maybe, in October. They're not that close. Miami's losses are much worse than Notre Dame's, right? Just that alone puts them at 2 different tiers. Miami has not beaten anyone that impressive compared to Notre Dame, right? They haven't gone out and beaten OU. They haven't gone out and beaten Ole Miss. So we're sitting here and pretending like their wins are very, very similar. Their losses are not similar at all.
Okay. Let me just say one thing. I understand that Miami's losses are worse. But their
much worse. Throw that word much in front.
But
much in front.
Their wins are a lot better because they beat Notre Dame. They beat Notre Dame. That's a big.
Besides
they beat the 10th best team. Well, they both beat Pitt, and then Notre Dame beat USC, but I don't know,
the 15th ranked team in the nation.
Yeah, but Miami beat the 10th best team in the nation. That's a better win.
But dude, you need to look at
it 10th best team.
It's funny. It's like it's this.
I agree with you. I'm just saying what the argument is.
Head-to-head matchup should be the final deciding factor, right? You remember Mario Kart, Johnny, where you get a boost if you go over those arrows.
You're in no matter what. So stop. You think?
I don't think we are. And I'm sick of this BS that people are sitting here acting like Miami and Notre Dame are par for par.
I'll bet you $15 they're in. I'll bet you $15 they're in.
Make it 10 and we have a deal. Wait, why would I bet against my team?
John? Well, I don't know, because you keep arguing they're not going to be in. I know they're going to be in.
Hold on. I'm not arguing. I think they're in. What I am arguing is that Notre Dame in Miami is not this even head-to-head matchup, this even par for par, pound for pound comparison, right? We lose the argument when you compare who each team has lost to. We lost to Louisville and we lost to SMU. Those are 2 embarrassing teams. Notre Dame is not losing to either of those teams, right? They beat Louisville, for the record. Johnny.
Yeah, but
why isn't that talked about? Why isn't that talked about?
Because Notre Dame lost to Miami.
That's fucking crazy. That's not the end all be all, dude. If you're looking at the steps in the progressions, you have to look at common opponents. You have to look at strength of record. You have to look at losses, and then you have to look at head-to-head matchup if everything is end all
Well,
be.
why? But like what? Like you could just jumble that up any way you want. Like why is that the order? Because because it helps you.
Because there's more variables in the other three, right? It's either a 50-50. It's binary, Johnny. You either won or you lost. Okay, that's it for Notre Dame, right? They lost. That's it for Notre Dame.
The head-to-head's binary. Yeah. It's the head-to-head's pretty binary. It's like
so why would we put that one first if that one immediately gives Miami any kind of leg up in any conversation?
I don't know because they played on the field and one team won, one team lost. I'm just saying what people are saying. It doesn't.
If you're people, I don't want to.
You're in. So why argue it? They're in. You're in. I'll bet. So $10. I'm betting no shames in the playoffs.
I'm not betting that, but I will bet $10 on is
you
that
said make. But I thought you said make it 10.
Will end in the semifinals and or the national championship against Ohio State, lose for the 4th year in a row. I'm going to keep going before my blood pressure spikes and I get yelled at. So we have a lot of chaos here, Johnny, that is going to ensue for this playoffs.
Yeah.
A huge problem is brewing for the college football committee. If you listened to what Hunter Yurachek, the AD for Arkansas, who just made a terrible hire, and coach is it Coach Morris?
No, I don't think so. It might be. Wait a second. I'm looking it up. Arkansas. Is it Ryan Silverfield?
Yes, it is from Memphis.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I thought that was a crazy hire. Johnny, we're nearing running out of time here, so we have to jump into some things.
Yeah, let's go into conference championship preview. Let's go. Go down the line, say the spread, and then if it's your cheesecake, pick it.
Okay. We have JMU versus Troy. JMU is a 23.5-point favorite. North Texas versus Tulane. Tulane's a 2.5-point dog. UNLV at Boise State. Boise State's a 4.5-point favorite, a rematch from last year. BYU at Texas Tech, or not at Texas Tech, BYU and Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a 12.5-point favorite. Georgia and Bama. Bama is a 2.5-point dog. Duke and Virginia. Virginia is a 4.5-point favorite. Indiana and Ohio State. Ohio State is -4. I thought Ohio State would be closer to -6, so that one's a little bit surprising. We'll jump right into it. JMU versus Troy. JMU lost their head coach. Kind of a surprising move by Chesney heading to UCLA. I don't think UCLA is that good of a job. I think he should have stayed in that geographic area. He should have gone for Arkansas. I think he should have gone for Auburn. I think he would have gotten Auburn if he wanted it. It's sickening that 3 of these teams are fighting for college football playoff spots and they all have interim head coaches. It's just such a weird thing to pick. So JMU versus Troy, North Texas versus Tulane. I don't even really want to pick them, but I'm going to pick JMU -23.5. I think they smoke Troy.
Is Chesney coaching the playoff? I think he is, right?
I
think he's coaching. It's okay. I'm pretty sure he's coaching.
It's mumbled jumbled.
I'm going to pick JMU just because I'm going to agree with you. Just because I think they need like all these group of 5 teams are going to need to make a statement. So I think they're going to try to just beat the hell out of Troy. That being said, I totally agree. I was surprised he left UCLA. I know that's obviously a bigger job, but I think UCLA is a really tricky job just because you're not even the biggest. But you're not even you're not the biggest college in your city, let alone state city.
No.
And then you're in the Big Ten with all the big dogs, and you're so low on that totem pole. I don't know. I don't think UCLA is a desirable job. I think that's why Chip got out. I think it's why we've seen them struggle. But give me JMU.
Yeah. North Texas at Tulane. I think this is North Texas's position. This game, if I was to pick, I would just pick the over. I think it's at 66.5 right now. I think that game goes to 90. Both are missing their coaches. Neither are coaching there for this game. When that is the case, teams generally have no defensive plays. I'm going to go North Texas here at -2.5, but I would not be surprised if that didn't hit, but I can promise you the over is going to hit.
Yeah, the over's hitting. I'm going to take Tulane. I think they're just a tad more battle tested. Like they played Ole Miss. They played a lot of top, a lot of really talented teams this year. I think that's going to be the difference. I think their schedule is a lot harder than North Texas. So give me Tulane. I think just more battle tested.
UNLV, a team that I got to saw a really talented quarterback heading to Boise. Boise's a 4.5-point favorite. I actually like UNLV in this spot. I think they're a talented team. They have a really good wide receiver core, really dynamic quarterback. I like UNLV in this spot.
Yeah, give me UNLV. I love Dan Mullen. You know me. I love Dan Mullen. So give me.
We just got
UNLV.
an extension signed. One of the weirdest coaches we've talked about it. One of the weirdest coaching circuits this year. BYU's Kalani Sitake ready to leave for Penn State. The deal is practically done. A guy goes onto Twitter and tweets, "Some people are too good to replace." That guy is the CEO, president of Crumble Cookie, a BYU alumni. He then proceeds to back up a money truck and keep Kalani Sitake there. Sorry, I dropped my pen.
Oh,
this game screams BYU is going to put up a fight unlike anything we've ever seen in our lives.
And that being said, give me Texas Tech with the points. I think they are a better team. Did you see them play the first time? This Texas Tech pass rush is the best in the nation. The offense does just enough.
You don't think BYU has improved at all going into this week?
They've improved.
Right,
I just don't think it's enough.
Against Texas Tech. They had 3 turnovers against Texas Tech, and then they had
you think Texas Tech's going to turn the ball over? Wait. I don't know.
I'm just saying, if BYU doesn't turn over the ball and they figure out some kind of run game, this is a whole different ball game. With that being said, I did not have this as my original Cheesecake Factory pick of the week, but I'm sitting here and I'm getting myself hyped up with how awesome his Coach Sitake's interview was about how much love he felt. You know, I haven't watched the BYU football game all year. I have no idea who they are. I do know they have a quarterback whose number's in the mid-40s.
Yeah,
47.
Bear Bachmeyer?
Give me BYU. Give me the Cheesecake Factory pick of the week. This is another crazy situation that could play out. If BYU loses, they are not in the playoffs, which is kind of crazy because they've lost to the same team twice. It's very similar to another team, Georgia. No. Is that so? You're basically saying if Georgia loses the conference championship, it's the same situation. But no one's going to sit here and say that Georgia doesn't belong to be in the playoffs. But everyone's going to say that about BYU, Johnny.
I want to say one name about this game, and it's Jacob Rodriguez. Might be the best player in the whole country.
Threw an interception last week.
When it comes to the defensive side of the ball. They tried to give Manti Te'o the Heisman a million years ago. Joke. This is the real deal. Jacob Rodriguez, stud, wildcat formation. Give him the ball. Texas Tech's defense is so good. BYU is going to get blown out in this game.
I don't think so. I think that they're going to be playing with their hair on fire. The way that this week is played out, getting their coach back, I could just see the intensity going through their helmets, almost like steam. Georgia playing Bama. Bama's a 2.5-point dog. Bama won by a field goal. Iced out the game last time out. Bama has yet to lose to Georgia under Kalen DeBoer. I'm sitting here blindly and saying this isn't going to be a game, right? This is going to be 13 points for Georgia. And that makes me sick to my stomach. I've never been so confident in Georgia beating Bama. I think that they have the boys rolling. I don't think that they were right in the headspace, Georgia, the first time around. You know, I think that Georgia dominates this game. I think that they do win by 13, but it's one of those I would not be surprised if they won by 13. I would not be surprised if they lost.
Yeah, Georgia all day. No, I'm taking Georgia. I've said it 10 times this podcast alone. I love this Georgia team.
Johnny, Duke in Virginia. We talked about it. 17-point game last time out. Virginia -4. Some people have Duke winning outright. I'm going for the love of God. Please give me Virginia, simply because I don't want to live in a world where we have to have the conversation about Duke getting in, Miami getting in, or 2 group of 5 teams getting in.
Yeah. No.
With that being said, I don't want Virginia in either, but they will be.
So who do you want in?
Notre Dame, Ohio State, Indiana, OU, Vandy. A team that we haven't even spoke about, Johnny. You know, and I do want to know your opinion before we even continue, before you even give your Duke Virginia pick. How does a team go 10-2 in today's day and age in the SEC and not make the playoff?
No,
How's that
brutal.
possible?
It's brutal. This Vandy team is so fun too. Clark Lee is a great coach. Diego, you can put his
No,
mom aside,
everyone's
put that.
tough sadness, but no one is able to sit here and say that they deserve to be in, which they do. I'd
No,
go almost as
100%.
far as saying Andy deserves to be in more than Notre Dame.
Look at the teams that beat Tennessee, LSU, Mizzou. Like decent SEC teams, I guess. And
This is the problem.
They lost to Bama and Texas. The Texas losses are going to kill them. That's
Crazy.
where the whole conversation hangs. Because
Texas is ranked 13. You're telling them that kills them. I'm losing to this 13th ranked team in the nation.
No.
South Carolina was a top 25 team. No, I don't.
I'm not saying that. I'm not making that opinion up. I'm saying what the reality is. That's what's
yes,
because
if you put Vandy in, you kind of have to put Texas in. If you put Notre Dame in, you kind of have to put Miami in. And that's where this head-to-head matchup thing is such bullshit, because we're sitting here and saying that Vandy has not played anyone. Top 25 win against South Carolina on the road. Top 25 win against LSU. Top 25 win against Mizzou. Top 25 win against Tennessee. We're sitting here and saying, oh, just because they're not in the top 25 right now, that they weren't top 25 in that moment. And that's wrong. Because if that's the case, Oregon has not a single top 25 win.
Yeah, wait, USC? Isn't USC ranked?
Oh, you're right. Excuse me, USC.
Yeah.
It's sickening.
Iowa too. I was also ranked.
Yeah.
Come on, stop dragging the Ducks for no reason. I don't want you and Keith hate the Ducks. You guys, I don't know why.
They win something.
Okay, go back to Duke, Virginia. I'm picking Virginia all day. I know everyone wants this like ACC nightmare situation to happen. Virginia's good. They're gonna win this game. They're gonna cover.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, Indiana at OSU, two Titans clashing. King Kong, Godzilla, 1 and 2. Literally playing for the Heisman, playing for the Big Ten championship, playing for number 1 in the college football playoff. This has the recipe to be cinema. What do you got? You still haven't said your Cheesecake Factory pick of the week, so I'm assuming it's got to be Indiana here, right?
No, it's my cheesecake is Tulane. It's Tulane. It's always just so hard these weeks where there's not as many games. I'm going Tulane. I already explained why I like that pick. I'm picking Ohio State. I'm picking them to cover. I think the offense is just way too talented. I don't know. I just think like Bo Jackson will figure it out, and then Cardinal Tate, Jeremiah Smith, Max Clare is a big game guy, All-American tight end that people just don't talk about enough. The defense, Caleb Downs, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles are too good. They got really great cornerbacks too. I don't know. They've been there. They've done this. I'm a little nervous for Indiana's defense. My Penn State Nittany Lions brought them to the brink, and they kind of scare me in games like this. So I'm picking Ohio State.
I'm going to pick Indiana here because I would love to see Indiana win the Big Ten. Excuse me. It would be an electric game. I think that their defensive line gets after Julian saying enough. This is playing for the Heisman. Which quarterback can throw for more than 2 touchdowns? Whoever does gets the Heisman. And I'm picking Fernando Mendoza here.
Are you a little scared they can't keep up scoring
with Ohio State or Indiana? No, I don't know if Ohio State's going to score that much.
I don't know. We'll see.
I think you're overestimating their run game just a little bit. And I think Indiana's defensive line is very, very good. And when you're exclusively depending on your pass threat, you're going to struggle a little bit more. I don't know what the situation is with Brian Hartline either. They almost lost all their recruits today. I think he's staying. It's been up in the air. Ryan Day's thinking about calling plays. That hasn't been all that good historically. I think Indiana, OSU can afford to drop one. Indiana can afford to drop one.
They're both fine if they lose.
No, they are in terms of the playoffs, but a little bit of a come down spot, trap game spot for OSU. So I'm going to pick Indiana and the points and the upset. But I'm still sticking with my BYU because if that hits, I can consider myself a king at Cheesecake Factory, not Golden Corral.
Yeah, I got a parlay. You got one?
Yeah. Do you want to do winners and losers, Johnny? You got any winners and losers?
Yeah, this was a really crazy week for me, so I only have one for each. I'll start with the winners. The first winner is a good, close, personal friend of the podcast, my friend Alexi. He bet. Yeah, he's one of the day one listeners of this podcast. Everyone in the world took Texas A&M. It was Texas A&M -9.5. He bet Texas minus 9.5 and won. That's a crazy pull right there.
What did that pay off?
I think it was like 4 times, whatever. I forget. I saw the slip. I forget how much he put on, but he made 4 times whatever he put down. But that's just like nuts on the table type pick. So he won the week because flipping the spread, especially when it's a 10-point spread's ridiculous. And then loser of the week is a very easy one. It's SMU. They win. They're in the ACC championship. We're not talking about Duke. We're not talking 5 losses. All they got to do is beat Cal. They lose 38-35, and they miss out. They could possibly miss out in the playoff for 2 times in a row. If they go to the ACC championship, they very well could have beaten Virginia, and they make the playoff 2 times in a row. I think that's great. I don't know. They lost the week.
I like that. I like that. Johnny, we didn't get into our coaching carousel of the week. We'll talk about that more next week because there's a lot to digest there. I know you've been drinking that water this entire time. It looks like the most refreshing, crisp glass of water I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yes, Alexi, the guy I just mentioned, he got me these cups. You put them in the freezer, they get nice and cold. It's amazing. It keeps the glass cold the whole
glacial
time.
Water is what that is.
Oh yeah.
Before we do our parlays, I got a haters pick of the week. Here's another novel. I got to get my reading glasses on. From our friend Keith, please all clap as I am 2-0 on games of the year, both underdog outrights. Illinois over USC in October and Texas over A&M last week. This week, I do not love the board. Great hedge, Keith. My bet of the week is UGA minus 2.5. Kirby ain't losing to Bama twice in the season. We remember what happened in 2022. Texas Tech minus 12.5. We have seen some big spreads in the Big 12 this year. Everyone and their mothers will take double digits with BYU. Tech by 21. Ohio State minus 4.5. Let's see. A couple typos, Keith. Let's work on your grammar here. I do think Indiana is a good team, but I see a massive line of scrimmage advantage, and I'm all aboard the Ohio State train. I see this playing out similar to last year's games in the Horseshoe, 24-10 Buckeyes. Both quarterbacks play so badly, they give the Heisman to Pavia. Wouldn't that be something? Virginia minus 3.5. This is simply a crystal ball pick. Is there a world where I wake up Sunday morning and a 5-loss Duke team is the ACC champ? Lazy handicap, but go Cavs. Tulane plus 2.5. I really do not have a read on this game whatsoever. I'm simply taking the free 2 points. Posing a question to the host. Oh, I did not know this was coming. Posing a question. Am I a bad college football fan if I would rather watch Duke, Virginia at 8 p.m. over the number 1 and 2 ranked teams in the country? Hypothetically, if you only had one TV screen, which game are you picking? A game that could legit blow up the college football playoff, or a game where the loser still gets a first-round bye in a top 4 seed? Am I crazy? Keith, I'm not going to discuss that because that's moronic. There is not a world in hell where I am watching Virginia play Duke, 5-loss Duke, over a 11-0 loss. I thought that question was going to go in many different directions. Keith, you got to get seen by a doctor because I think you may have a concussion from last week's football game with how badly you performed. I think something might be going on in that big head of yours, brother.
That's so funny. Is that it? He's got any more picks? Is that it?
That's it. I don't even want to read if there's anything else because that stupid.
Okay, I got Matt Pittman's hater picks of the week. He's got BYU money line plus 410.
Hell yeah, Matthew.
Great pick. Ohio State minus 4. Trust me, you got to keep listening. Duke money line plus 150. Georgia minus 2.5, and North Texas minus 2.5.
Okay.
If you didn't put that math together, this is what he's trying to do. With JMU and North Texas both getting in, and Notre Dame is on the outside looking in. Although I think I would need Bama to win, but a man can dream they both miss out in Notre Dame and Bama.
I'm not going to give him what he wants. I am not going to sit here and give Matthew what he's looking for. The fact, Matthew, I'd like to pose this question, and please respond in our comments below. Anyone listening, please respond to our comments below. The fact that we are sitting here and you are looking me in the eyes hypothetically through Johnny's phone and saying that you would rather 2 group of 5 teams than Notre Dame, who beat Syracuse 70-7, that curves out Stanford, beat USC.
Okay, I'll give you USC.
Bama.
We can't flex on Syracuse and Stanford,
Johnny, when
man.
you
Those 2 programs suck.
Like that, you can flex on whoever you'd like. I'm just blown away that we're sitting here and your hatred towards Notre Dame in my fanhood, in my family. Like, that's a personal attack, is what Matthew just did. In that you'd rather see two group of 5 teams, right? Future accountants, future, employees at their local Amazon, than the great Notre Dame in the historic Alabama. Matthew, I fell for it. You rage baited me properly. That's asinine. You need to mix in a water, please and thank you.
Oh, so awesome, Patch. I'm super pumped for this weekend. Wait,
Johnny,
you got a parlay?
better than this.
You got a parlay?
Oh, I do. Real quick, mine's UGA -3, BYU +12.5, North Texas money line pays $6.05. Bet 10 wins $70.05. I think that is as good of a lock as it gets. I see the board so clearly, in fact, that I'm almost not trusting myself.
I want to make rent this week, so I kind of went off on a limb. I have 10 to pay, 132. That's plus 1228. It's Texas Tech -12.5, Georgia -2.5, Virginia -4, and Ohio State -4. I'm picking all the favorites this weekend with the spread.
Big time favorites.
We'll see. I'm pumped for this weekend, Patch. Let's watch
Johnny. It does not get better than this. I will. I'll be rooting from my couch. I cannot wait to sit there for 12 hours straight.
Awesome. See you later,
Johnny. We'll see you later.